Ngaoundéré and Minganga. Next, we move over to the West region, where light precipitation is expected to dominate all the major towns tonight, and by morning, we may have a similar situation except for the town of Mbuda. Lastly, we move over to the Southwest region, where light precipitation may dominate all the major towns tonight, and by morning, a similar situation is expected except for the town of Kumba. To protect yourself and others against the coronavirus, avoid handshakes, sneeze with a flexed elbow, and in case of symptoms, call 1510. Have a good night.
As leader in third-generation audiovisual content, Raza Production offers you tomorrow's solutions today. Digital video production and broadcast, data-less e-learning platforms, virtual and augmented reality. Raza Production, mastery of innovation. Even perfection evolves.
Government hits a bang on the table condemning the heinous and barbaric killings in Anglophone Cameroon by secessionists and armed gangs, inviting the defense and security forces not to relent in protecting the state institutions and the population. The wearing of face masks in Cameroon, government transitions from desensitization to repression as you either wear the mask or leave it and face the law. Ngaoundéré, chief town of the Adamawa region, undergoes a major facelift as the city council engages on major works to rehabilitate the urban road network. Those are our lead stories. Hello, it's the 7:30 news on the CRTV with me, Ben Menopofong in Yaoundé.
Each of us must comply with the measures that have been taken.
Thanks for joining us. We opened this newscast with the gruesome murder of a 32-year-old lady in Muyuka by secessionist fighters in the southwest region. Civil society actors, human rights activists, and religious and traditional leaders in the region have condemned in unequivocal terms the brutal killings, saying it has left the population deeply hurt. Convened to a crisis meeting by Southwest Governor Bernard Okalia-Bilai, they pledged their support in fishing out the culprits for justice to prevail. The governor said security had heightened following the incident. Annabelle Ndike Eno Anyang reports from CRTV Southwest.
At about 1 p.m. Tuesday, the 11th of August, at the Makanga neighborhood in Moyoka town, the late Madame Afiri Comfort, mother of 2 kids, was arrested and brutally assassinated by some separatist terrorists who considered her as a black leg. While perpetrating the act, a video was done and it's presently circulating on the social media. Governor Bernard Okalia-Bilai, human rights activists, and other government stakeholders have joined your voices against such violence. At the end of the meeting, non-governmental organizations, religious leaders, traditional and political groups, sons and daughters of the region were called upon to step up efforts to bring out the elements of these armed separatist groups. The governor, on behalf of the government, guaranteed protection of the citizens and encouraged them to work in collaboration with the forces of law and order.
And following that act, the government of Cameroon has the following communication to make. And it reads, the government of the Republic has taken cognizance in astonishment and indignation of the upsurge of acts of barbarity and horror perpetrated in recent days by secessionist terrorist armed gangs, which continue to sow terror and desolation among the populations in the northwest and southwest regions. In this respect, two murders which were widely circulated on social media particularly shocked the national community, which disapproved it. As a matter of fact, on August 4, 2020, at the place called Mbingwe Road in the Ntwalam neighborhood in Mankan, the Mezam division in the northwest region, the so-called secessionist terrorist leader named Fonte, alias Mad Dog, murdered with an unspeakable brutality his partner, a woman called Mrs. Mba Treasure, whom he suspected of colluding with the powers that be. In addition, on August 11, 2020, around 2 p.m., the lifeless body of Mrs. Comfort Tumasang, a 32-year-old Cameroonian woman, was found in Makanga neighborhood in Muyuka, Fakot Division, Southwest region. She was brutally shot dead by overexcited individuals belonging to the hordes of secessionist terrorists for having also refused to adhere to the ideas and ill-fated purpose of the secessionists who succor the region. The government of Cameroon strongly condemns these heinous and unsustainable acts committed by secessionist terrorist gangs who, for absurd, illegitimate and unacceptable motives, continue to kill honest and innocent citizens all around. Moreover, the government denounces the false allegations as well as the subterfuge and other deceitful maneuvers of the said secessionist armed gangs, which, after committing all kinds of atrocities against the population of the northwest and southwest regions, unscrupulously attribute them to our defense and security forces. In any case, the government urges the National Defense and Security Forces to pursue their Republican mission of protecting institutions and populations so that the rule of law shall always prevail, and reiterates to them the very high confidence of the President of the Republic, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, as well as the support of the entire nation. The Minister of Communication conveys to the bereaved families the sincere condolences of the Head of State, His Excellency Paul Biya, as well as the compassion of the entire government of the Republic. In addition, the government appeals to those who, hiding in the dark, especially abroad, keep supporting the secessionist rebels in the northwest and southwest regions, thereby encouraging the perpetration of unspeakable atrocities against the population of the said regions by those outlaws. Likewise, the government once again calls for the cooperation of friendly countries where the sponsors of this rebellion are hosted in order to help neutralize them and consolidate the peace-building process in the northwest and southwest regions. Finally, the government reaffirms the firm determination of His Excellency, the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, to pursue and complete the reconstruction process in the northwest and southwest regions, and above all, to work tirelessly for a return to normalcy in the said region. And that government communique has been signed by Rene Emmanuel Sadi, who is the government's spokesperson and Minister of Communication. And contrary to allegations that the buoyed DDR commission was facing, was facing huge financial problems, the coordinator of the National Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration Commission says all three centers are functioning well. Speaking in Yaoundé today, Faye Yenga Francis said each of the centers received 100 million CFA francs in the first half of this year for their functioning. Ebenezer Akanga reports on what the DDR Commission is doing to fast-track the disarmament process underway in the trouble-ridden regions.
The disarmament, demobilization and reintegration DDR centers in Buea, Bamenda and Mora are functioning well. According to the national coordinator of the DDR, there is no problem with feeding, health care, security, and training of the ex-combatants.
When I last talked to you people, we had about 200 or so in the 3 centers, but today we have about 500. A few days ago, we had 109 ex-fighters coming out at the same time in Mora.
Given the increasing number of repentant fighters joining the centers, the DDR has embarked on extending their infrastructural and reception capacities.
The measures, special measures that the President of the Republic, His Excellency, probably has taken to put modern, multi-purpose centers for them. The one in Bamenda will be ready in about a month's time, and each center will take about 1,000 of them.
The national coordinator condemns in very strong terms the recent wave of killings in Bamenda and Muyuka.
These people who are killing are no longer human beings. Those who are applauding the actions, particularly from abroad, are no longer human beings. And anybody who sympathizes with this is not a human being.
There are about 500 ex-combatants in the 3 DDR centers.
Cameroon's new ambassador to Ethiopia has expressed thanks to President Paul Biya on his appointment. 59-year-old Churchill Ewumbwemonana was speaking shortly after his appointment yesterday by presidential decree. Charles Ebune has a summary of the appointee's preliminary reactions in the following report.
Years ago, Churchill Ewumbwemonana was a diplomat at Cameroon's mission in Ethiopia, where he will now serve as ambassador extraordinary and plenipotentiary.
My reactions are obviously those of joy, of satisfaction, and also of gratitude. Gratitude to God for making me to see this day.
An author of many books, amongst them this one on delicate negotiations for reunification, the graduate from the International Relations Institute of Cameroon has spent almost 25 years working beside the President of the Republic.
Feelings of gratitude to His Excellency President Paul Biya for bestowing upon me this confidence.
A father of children and married, Churchill was a technical advisor at the civil cabinet of the Presidency of the Republic, proud to his appointment as Cameroon's ambassador to Ethiopia, the seat of African institutions.
Prime Minister Joseph Diangute has called for a reinforcement of the presidential measure instituting the mandatory wearing of face masks in public spaces in Cameroon. He made the call in Yaoundé today as he chaired the weekly interministerial meeting to monitor and evaluate the government's riposte strategy against COVID-19 pandemic. Today's session also featured discussions on the efficiency of hydroxychloroquine in the treatment of COVID-19 cases, as well as the norms and availability of face masks in Cameroon. Star Building correspondent Christian Chiatam reports.
This session, presided by Prime Minister Joseph Diangute, had 2 main objectives. The first, examine the utility of hydroxychloroquine used in Cameroon's treatment protocol against COVID-19. The health minister was formal. He said the drug has been efficient and useful in the country so far.
The question is not about the efficacy of the hydroxychloroquine now. We have a very great result with this protocol of treatment.
With 18,118 cumulative positive cases of COVID-19 recorded and 16,538 recoveries, this session also sought to make the wearing of face masks in public spaces more effective in the country. The Minister of Decentralization and Local Development, Georges Elangaubam, explained the notion of public space, while his counterpart of Mines presented ongoing efforts to make good quality masks available in Cameroon. At the end of the session, the Prime Minister instructed the Minister of Decentralization to get council officials actively involved in enforcing the presidential decision instituting the wearing of face masks in public spaces. Joseph Diangute equally instructed the Minister of Territorial Administration and Police Services to ensure strict compliance with the measure.
Following the launch of a national campaign to promote the culture of cybersecurity in Cameroon, a two-day workshop to get ICT experts in Cameroon acquainted with these crimes has kicked off in Yaoundé. The workshop was opened by the Secretary General at the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunications, who said knowing the stakes and challenges of cybersecurity in the country will advance the fight against cybercrimes. Muhammadu Saudi told our reporter Yoti Kaleli Sange the importance of the workshop.
It is to permit Cameroon population to identify all the threats that have been going on while using these social medias. It is also to invite the administrations, be them public or private, to take all the necessary measures to fight against cybercriminality, and also to invite the experts, participants, all the populations to take common measures to fight against cybersecurity.
And cybercrime, which is the flip side of cybersecurity, is becoming common in Cameroon and has damaging effects both from the individual and the collective perspectives, from cyber stalking to identity theft, hacking and spreading of false news. These crimes committed with the use of the internet are all punishable by the law. Ewane Epole reports on the nature of the crimes and the penalties for perpetrators.
Cybercrime includes common cyber attack patterns like social engineering software vulnerability exploits, says ICT experts.
We have things as scamming, phishing, different types of classification of cybercrimes depending on the way they operate, cybercrimes operate, and what they target. Areas like banks, which are more interesting for cyber criminals. Why? Because they feel that they can get money.
Cybercrime targets both individuals and companies, in particular businesses such as financial institutions.
Financial institutions are the first target of cybercriminality. But with mobile banking and mobile money, each individual is exposed to practice. To fight against the phenomenon, we use security measures like the use of passwords and security database.
In Cameroon, we have a law. We have a special law in cyber security and cyber criminality. Because we are condemning such activities.
According to ICT experts, security automation is a key tool in the fight against cybercrime.
And you're watching the 7:30 news on the Cameroon Radio Television, the CRTV. We are beaming live from Yaoundé. The town of Ngaoundéré is gradually receiving a facelift with a series of road rehabilitation projects that are being carried out by the city council. Reports from this area say movement of goods and persons across this junction town has become more fluid since the work started on the urban road network some weeks back. Amos Enonyaket Abo reports or presents the changing face of the Adamawa regional headquarters.
The town of Ngaoundéré is rapidly being metamorphosed with several rehabilitation roadworks gaining steam here and there. Before now, it was difficult gaining access to some neighborhoods at all times, but thanks to the efforts and determination of the city mayor, some neighborhoods have been disenclaved while others await their turn. Culverts constructed to allow the free flow of water and major roads widen. The tip of the iceberg is widening the road leading to the regional hospital, as well as enlarging a narrow bridge situated on the same lane to facilitate the free passage of two vehicles. This has been for a very long time. When we got to the city council, we made as our top priority the rehabilitation of some roads. We cannot do everything at the same time. We did programming. That is why we started with some major roads within the town. Ngaoundéré is considered to be on the rails of development by the population, and they are poised not to allow anything stand as a barrier to this much awaited road infrastructural development.
The ongoing rehabilitation work puts to an end to a nightmare that the residents of the town have been through moving from one part of the city to the other. Apart from roads, low-cost houses are also being constructed, and town planners have gone down to work to rethink the town's outlook. Silas Nkwine reports on the input of different actors in reshaping the town of Ngaoundere.
If you walk through Ngaoundere these days, you become aware of how the town is changing and how dynamic it is. This new facelift for the Adamawa capital include road repair work on various streets, housing projects, as well as the construction of hub facilities. Ngaoundere councils are also building safe and strong urban communities with dynamic economies, affordable and suitable homes for everyone, with the regional delegation for the economy, planning and regional development being a key driver.
Our contribution to help the councils in the context of developing our town and our region is to help them to get mature projects. The second aspect is to help them to get financement of their mature project.
Planning, design, and development associates are also sourced from the regional delegation for public works. The new facelift for Ngaoundere is a great addition to this amazing town.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
Good to know you are still there. Leisure sports around the River Vuri in the littoral region are tourist traps. They offer boat rides across the Vuri estuary and extensive mangroves lined by water birds. A refreshing experience for holiday makers, especially those in the city of Douala. In our series on Cameroon's tourist destinations, Scholar Maloke tonight got attracted to one of such leisure sports and takes us on this ride.
It is the freshness of the air and the beauty of the waves that welcome you to this leisure center dedicated to the well-being of families and the community. Located some 700 meters from the main road or 10 meters on foot, the center offers a range of services.
The Vuri proposes a lot of services. Restaurant, swimming pool, and the tour aboard the boats.
According to users, it is much more than a place, but a philosophy which springs from an idea that it is possible to have fun while improving your quality of life.
I come here because I want to have fun with my family, so that's why we decided to come here, so we can enjoy the beauties of waters. Beside the pool, we can also have a view of the sea of the Vuri, which is an amazing experience for me. So being here permits me to relieve stress and shed some weight.
Apart from the different dishes, the swimming pools, this center also offers boat tours over the River Vuri. Just like this one, there are several other tourist destinations to be discovered in Douala, especially during this period of long holidays.
Cameroon's Minister of Sports and Physical Education, Narcisse Moelle-Kombi, says government is ready to help renovate the CAF Excellence Center in Bankomo, which is today in ruins. The minister was speaking as he visited the once attractive sports jewel, now begging for renovation. Baldwin Sama reports on the need to quickly arrest the situation before the final dirge is sung.
A less enviable entrance into the CAF Excellence Center in Bankomo, worn-out buildings, and abandoned environments looking less attractive. This is a deplorable condition that welcomes you to this once cherished CAF Excellence Center, today a shadow of itself. Even this abandoned pool leaves much to be desired, as Sports and Physical Education Minister Professor Narcisse Mwele Kombi came visiting a center that was managed by the Confederation of African Football CAF between 2014 and 2017, and since 2017, the center relies only on funds from teams that come and train here and different seminars and symposiums for maintenance. Staff of this center have gone for several months this year with no salaries, as the unexpected coronavirus has stopped activities here that kept the center alive. Accompanied by the Senior Divisional Officer of Mefo and Akono, Sports and Physical Education Minister Professor Narcisse Mwele Kombi visited different sections in this center and promised government's intervention to save this once beautiful jewel, today begging for renovation.
As of today, COVID-19 cases in Cameroon stand at over 18,000 with 17,000 recovered. It's Baldwin, tonight, our reporter Baldwin Sama at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center updates us on the crisis, and with his guest, he will be particularly talking about the case of vulnerable group, notably those suffering from sickle cell anemia. Hello, Baldwin. Thanks for joining us. I'm afraid Baldwin might not have been getting us. We should be coming over to Baldwin. Just time for us to say that, to go over to this other news, and it's on a rather sad note now, that the population of the Mfundi division is in shock following the death of its senior divisional officer, Jean-Claude Ntila. The orphaned populations flooded the diseased Bastos residents as soon as they got news of his death yesterday. The governor of the Central Region, Nasuri Paul Biya, has also been reacting to the death of the 64-year-old civil administrator who had served as SDO from Mfundi for the past 10 years. We have details with Maimun Anjoya from CRTV Center. Maimuna should be waiting again too, because I have indications that Baldwin Sama is now back from the Public Health Emergency Center here in Yaoundé to update us on the COVID-19 cases in the country today. Hello, Baldwin. If you are listening to me, can we have the figures?
Good evening, Ben Benopufong, and welcome back to the Public Health Emergency Operations Center. Just to confirm the figures you announced a while ago, that so far in Cameroon, we have had 18,118 persons tested positive for COVID-19. Over 16,538 Cameroonians have recovered from the virus. 403 Cameroonians have died of COVID-19. We have had over 190,000 persons tested for COVID-19 in the country, with 1,117 persons who are active, that is living with the virus. Tonight with our guest, Dr. Nengom Tony, we shall be talking about persons, especially those living with, those who are suffering from sickle cell, vulnerable to COVID-19. Good evening, doctor.
Good evening, Mr. Sama.
Those who are suffering from sickle cell, what are they expected to know as far as avoiding being infected with COVID-19 is concerned?
Thank you, Mr. Sama. We have to know that children suffering with sickle cell disease are more likely to have infection, particularly pulmonary infection. So those pulmonary infections can lead to a terrible complication, which is called acute chest syndrome. So we advise all children with sickle cell disease to avoid the COVID-19, to observe all the barrier measures already known, like wear the face mask, keep the social distancing, and wash their hands all the time.
And finally, if they discover they have any of these symptoms, is it advisable to take them to the hospital?
Yes, we advise them to go straight to the hospital when they have one of the symptoms already known.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nengom Tony. You are a pediatrician. Just remind our viewers of the figures. 18,118 persons tested positive, 16,538 recoveries, 403 persons have died of COVID-19, and we have 1,117 active cases for COVID-19 in Cameroon. Back to you, Ben.
Thank you, Baldwin Sama, for those updates. And we will be giving you the report on the death of the senior divisional officer of the Fundi Division in our subsequent newscasts. And that's where we'll leave it for today and for the week. I'll be back on Monday with yet another fresh crew. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
In this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing